Elections are supposed to solve conflicts, right? At least that's what we're promised. We're supposed to vote, make a decision, select our leaders, and society should move forward. But if that was true, why does every election season feel like a battlefield in every country? Why does the division in every country get worse and not better? What if elections don't actually solve conflict? What if they just decide who gets to win it? We're taught to think of elections as peaceful, and in general, they are. They replace violence with voting. But if you look a little bit closer, elections don't eliminate disagreement. They don't make opposing visions disappear. They do something much simpler. They transfer power. In every society, people generally want different things. People generally have different values. People generally have different priorities, different visions of how their lives should be lived. And that is not a flaw. That's reality. As Thomas Sowell explains, there are no perfect solutions, only trade offs. So when people disagree, there's no final resolution waiting, only a decision about which vision gets enforced. Elections don't decide or tell us who is right. They tell us who has more votes. 51% controls 49%. 51% of the population can impose their will on 49% of the population. And we call that a solution. But nothing has really been resolved. One side wins, the other side lives with the consequences. As Bastiat warns, I did some research. His name is pronounced Bastiat, not Bastiat. The T is still silent at the end of his name, but it's Bastiat. So Frédéric Bastiat warned, law can become a tool for one group to live at the expense of another. Now here's the critical part. Elections don't just reflect the conflict, they amplify it. Because the stakes are massive. If your side wins, you control policy. If your side loses, you are subject to someone else's decisions for the next 5 years. So politics becomes everything. Every election feels existential, as Milton Friedman points out. The more power your government has, the more important it becomes who controls your government. One group wins, imposes its policies, the other group loses and organizes and tries to take power back next election. Let's say that group wins, power flips, the policies reverse, the conflict continues. That isn't a resolution, it's a cycle. Elections do not end conflict, they schedule the next round of the conflict. Now, here's the deeper insight. The problem isn't the elections themselves. The problem is in what the elections can control. If elections decide everything, then every election becomes a fight over everything. And that guarantees conflict. Because now every disagreement is forced into a single outcome. Walter Williams emphasized that when decisions are made politically instead of voluntarily, conflict becomes unavoidable. Let's compare that to markets. In a market, you don't generally need agreement. You can choose differently and you can coexist. Markets absorb conflict. Politics concentrates it because politics forces one decision onto everyone. So now we can say something a little bit more precise. Elections don't solve conflict, they manage the conflict by deciding who gets power. But if that power is too large, the conflict becomes too intense. So what actually reduces the conflict? Not better elections, not more voting, lower stakes. If elections can control less, then losing matters less. And when losing matters less, conflict becomes more manageable. This is where ideas like separation of powers comes into place. Decentralization of government is absolutely necessary because limits on government authority becomes critical, not as an ideology, but as a system. They don't eliminate disagreement. They reduce how much damage the disagreement can cause because in the end, conflict in society is inevitable. But the real question is, does your system amplify the conflict or contain it? And that depends on the incentives.